The blue sky above Washington, D.C. darkened as massive shadows passed overhead. People in the streets stopped and looked up, mouths open in shock. 7 giant ships, each bigger than the largest buildings on Earth, moved slowly into position, above the city. They did not make any sound. They just floated there like giant metal clouds. In the White House Situation Room, President Amara Garcia stared at the screens showing the alien ships. Her hands were tight fists on the table. "How did they get past our early warning systems?" she asked. General Wei Chen shook his head. "They didn't trigger any alarms. It's like they just appeared." Commander Elena Vasquez stood quietly in the corner. Unlike the others, she did not look surprised or scared. Her dark eyes were narrow, studying the ships on the screen. Elena was the head of Earth's Joint Defense Command. She had fought in the Mars conflict 10 years ago and was known for always being calm in dangerous situations. "Madam President, they're sending a message," said the communications officer. On the main screen, a face appeared. The alien had light purple skin, large silver eyes with no pupils, and a small mouth. It had no hair, but lines of small dots ran across its head in patterns. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zarlo of the Galactic Coalition. We come in peace and friendship." The room was silent. "We have watched your planet for many years," Zarlo continued. "Your species has made impressive progress despite your technological limitations. We wish to welcome you to the galactic community." President Garcia stepped forward. "We appreciate your greeting, Ambassador. This is a historic moment for our planet." Zarlo smiled, but Elena noticed it didn't reach his eyes. "Indeed, we bring gifts, clean energy technology, advanced medicine, and the knowledge of interstellar travel. We wish to share these with you and help your species advance." After the call ended, the Situation Room exploded with excited voices. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials all talked at once. Only Elena remained quiet. "Commander Vasquez, you haven't said anything," the president noted. Elena looked up. "They're being too nice, Madam President. No advanced civilization gives away valuable technology for nothing." General Chen frowned. "You're being paranoid, Vasquez. This is humanity's greatest moment." "Perhaps," Elena said. "But I've learned to question perfect situations." The president studied her for a moment. "What do you suggest?" "Accept their invitation, but carefully. And I want to be on the team that visits their ship." 3 days later, Elena stood in a group of 20 human representatives preparing to board an alien shuttle. The group included scientists, politicians, and cultural experts. Elena was the only military officer. Ambassador Zarlo personally greeted them as they entered the shuttle. "We are honored by your presence. Our ship has been specially prepared to make you comfortable." The shuttle ride was smooth and quick. Within minutes, they were inside the massive alien flagship. Elena looked around carefully, noting every detail. The inside of the ship was beautiful, with curved walls that glowed with soft light and strange plants growing from special containers. Zarlo led them through wide hallways. "Our ship is primarily a scientific vessel. We have only basic defense systems as our society moved beyond warfare centuries ago." Elena caught the slight look of superiority on Zarlo's face. "How many planets are in your coalition?" asked a human scientist. 17 inhabited worlds have joined us so far," Zarlo replied. "Each species brings unique qualities to our community." As they toured medical facilities and engineering sections, Elena noticed how the aliens always emphasized how impressive human progress was, considering Earth's limitations. Their words were friendly, but the message was clear. Humans were far behind. When the group stopped for refreshments, Elena quietly slipped a small device from her pocket. It looked like a regular communication pad, but it was actually a quantum scanner developed in Earth's secret deep space program. She activated it and let it scan the surrounding areas of the ship. "Your space stations are quite remarkable for such simple materials," an alien scientist was saying to the human group. "You've done well with your limited understanding of physics." Elena smiled politely but said nothing. Her scanner was sending data to her secure military implant. What she saw made her blood run cold. Beyond the areas shown to humans, the ship contained massive weapons arrays. There were rooms filled with what looked like invasion planning maps showing Earth's cities. Worst of all, she detected what appeared to be holding cells, many holding cells. When Zarlo showed them the ship's modest defense center, Elena's scanner revealed it was just a small section of the actual military command center hidden behind false walls. "How do you protect yourselves if you've moved beyond warfare?" Elena asked innocently. Zarlo's silver eyes fixed on her. "We maintain ceremonial defenses only. In the rare case of aggression, we use non-lethal containment methods." The scanner data showed otherwise. The ship had enough firepower to level multiple Earth cities. As they prepared to return to Earth, Elena sent the encrypted data to Dr. Marcus Chen at the Shadow Fleet headquarters beneath the Pacific Ocean. The message was simple: confirm analysis, priority alpha. Back on the shuttle, Elena sat quietly while the other humans talked excitedly about everything they had seen. "You're very quiet, Commander," Ambassador Zarlo said, sitting beside her. "Did you not find our technology impressive?" Elena smiled. "Very impressive, Ambassador. It's given me a lot to think about." "Your species has great potential," Zarlo said. "With our guidance, humans might advance quite rapidly." "We tend to learn quickly," Elena replied, "sometimes in ways that surprise even us." As the shuttle approached Earth, Elena looked out at her blue planet. She knew humanity had just weeks, maybe days, before the Coalition would show its true intentions. But what the aliens didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. Earth was not as defenseless as it appeared. Elena Vasquez stood at the window of her apartment, looking up at the alien ships that now hung over every major city on Earth. It had been 3 days since her visit to the Coalition flagship. 3 days of waiting for Dr. Chen to analyze the data from her scanner. Her secure phone beeped. "Secured line established," it said. "Commander, this is Chen. You need to come to the facility immediately." "What did you find?" Elena asked, already moving to get her jacket. "Not over the phone, but it's worse than we thought." 2 hours later, Elena's unmarked helicopter landed on a small island in the Pacific Ocean. To most of the world, this place was just another research station studying ocean life. Only a few hundred people on Earth knew its true purpose. Dr. Marcus Chen met her at the landing pad. He was a short man with messy hair and glasses that never seemed to stay in place. Despite his disheveled appearance, he was one of the most brilliant minds on the planet. "The Coalition ships have technology similar to what we expected," Chen said as they walked through a series of security doors. "Advanced, yes, but nothing that surprised us." "That doesn't sound bad," Elena said. "That's not the bad part," Chen led her into a large underground room filled with screens and computers. "The bad part is what they're hiding." On the main screen, he showed images captured by Elena's scanner. "These are weapon systems far beyond what they showed you. And here," he pointed to another screen, "these are prison cells, lots of them. Empty now, but ready." Elena frowned. "Ready for humans." "Exactly. And there's more." Chen typed on his keyboard, bringing up communications the scanner had intercepted. "They've done this before. 17 times to be exact. The 17 worlds in their coalition," Elena said, understanding immediately. Chen nodded. "They aren't partners. They're conquests. The coalition comes with gifts and friendly words. They learn about the planet's defenses. Then they take over." Elena studied the data. "How long do we have?" "Based on their past patterns, 2 weeks at most before they drop the friendly act." Elena was quiet for a moment. "And our own capabilities, how do we compare?" For the first time since she arrived, Chen smiled. "That's where things get interesting. Come with me." They took an elevator deep under the ocean floor. When the doors opened, Elena found herself looking at an enormous underground hangar. Inside were ships, not the small space vessels the public knew about, but massive warships unlike anything most humans had ever seen. "Welcome to Shadow Fleet Command," Chen said. This is just one of 12 facilities around the world. Workers in special uniforms moved around the massive ships. Some were as large as the alien vessels hovering above Earth's cities. How is this possible? Elena asked, though she already knew part of the answer. The public thinks our most advanced ship is the Mars transport. After the Third World War ended in 2089, the surviving nations made a secret agreement, Chen explained. Earth would never again be caught unprepared for a threat, but they also feared what would happen if everyone knew about these weapons. They walked toward the closest ship. It was black with no markings, shaped like a predator from the deep sea. So the Shadow Fleet was built in secret, Elena said, hidden from the public and, more importantly, hidden from watching eyes in space. Exactly. Chen placed his hand on the ship's hull. While the world rebuilt, a percentage of every nation's resources went to this program. We've been preparing for first contact for over 60 years. The Mars conflict was real, though, Elena said. Yes, but much smaller than reported. We needed a cover story for some of the technology we were developing. They entered the ship through a side door. Inside, it was nothing like the Coalition vessel. Where the alien ship had been beautiful and elegant, this was practical and clearly built for war. Every surface served a purpose. This is the EDF Poseidon, Chen said with pride. Earth Defense Force's newest dreadnought. There are 15 more, like it hidden around the planet. What about their technology? Elena asked. The aliens seem much more advanced. Chen laughed. That's what makes this so perfect. They aren't, at least not in all ways. He led her to the command center of the ship. Officers worked at stations running tests and preparing systems. We've been studying fragments of alien technology that crashed on Earth for decades, Chen explained. We've developed our own versions of most of their systems. In some areas, we're actually ahead of them. Like weapons, Elena guessed, and shields. Our quantum shielding is unlike anything they have. We've also mastered stealth technology they don't seem to possess. Elena looked around the command center. Does the president know about all this? Only the basics. She'll be fully briefed once we confirm the coalition's intentions. A young officer approached them with a tablet. Dr. Chen, we've detected increased energy readings from the coalition ships. They're scanning Earth more intensively than before. Chen took the tablet and frowned. They're mapping defense installations, getting ready. Elena nodded. Then we need to be ready too. How quickly can the Shadow Fleet be mobilized? 48 hours for full deployment. But we can have the first wave ready in 12. Elena looked at the massive screens showing the coalition ships in orbit. They think they're dealing with a primitive species that will be impressed by shiny technology and empty promises. They have no idea what they're walking into. What's our next move? Chen asked. For now, we keep playing along. Let them think their plan is working. Elena's eyes hardened. But I want the Poseidon ready to launch on my command. And contact Admiral Okonkwo. He needs to prepare the lunar fleet. As they walked back through the massive hangar, Elena looked at the rows of warships with new appreciation. Humanity has never been united on much, she said quietly. But it seems we all agreed on one thing. What's that? Chen asked. That when aliens finally came, we wouldn't be easy prey. Outside above the clouds, the coalition ships continued their scans, completely unaware of what waited beneath the oceans, behind the moon, and hidden in Earth's asteroid belt. They had come expecting to find an impressed but defenseless world. They would soon learn how wrong they were. Exactly 14 days after first contact, the coalition showed its true face. That morning, people around the world woke up to see not 7 but 23 massive alien ships in Earth's skies. The new vessels were different, darker, with sharp edges and glowing red lights along their sides. They looked like weapons, not the elegant ships that had first arrived. In the White House Situation Room, President Garcia and her advisors watched as Ambassador Zarlo requested an emergency meeting. Patch him through, the president ordered. When Zarlo appeared on screen, his friendly manner was gone. His silver eyes were cold and he didn't smile. People of Earth, he said. The Galactic Coalition has evaluated your world and reached a decision. Earth will join the coalition as a protected resource planet effective immediately. President Garcia stood straighter. Ambassador, we appreciate your offer, but Earth has not agreed to join your coalition. We need time to consider. This is not an offer, Zarlo interrupted. It is a notification. Your military capabilities are insufficient to resist. Your technology is primitive. We have scanned your entire planet and found no threat to our forces. Elena Vasquez, standing beside. The president kept her face blank. The Shadow Fleet was specially shielded against the alien scans. The coalition had no idea what waited for them. What exactly does protected resource planet mean? The president asked. Your natural resources will be managed by coalition authorities. Your people will continue their lives under our guidance. Some will be relocated to work on other coalition worlds. It is an honor most species would gratefully accept. The room was silent. Everyone understood now. This wasn't a friendly visit. It was an invasion. And if we refuse? President Garcia asked quietly. Zarlo's face hardened. Then we will take what we need by force. You have 6 hours to announce Earth's surrender to your people. After that, we will begin resource extraction operations regardless of your decision. The screen went black. They're going to invade no matter what we say, General Chen said. This was their plan all along. The room erupted into panicked discussion. Some advisors argued for surrender to avoid bloodshed. Others insisted on fighting, even with what they believed were Earth's limited weapons. Madam President, Elena said, her voice cutting through the noise. I need to show you something. Something only a few hundred people on Earth know about. The president looked at her for a long moment. This has to do with your mysterious trip 3 days ago? Yes, ma'am. But what I need to share can't be said here. President Garcia nodded. Clear the room, please. Everyone except Commander Vasquez and General Chen. When the others had left, Elena placed a small device on the table. It projected a 3D image of Earth. Tiny dots appeared all around the planet, in the oceans, behind the moon, in the asteroid belt. What am I looking at, Commander? The President asked. Earth's true defense capability, Madam President. The Shadow Fleet. For the next 20 minutes, Elena explained everything. The secret ships, the advanced technology, the decades of preparation. The President listened without interrupting, her face showing shock that slowly turned to understanding. Why wasn't I fully briefed on this when I took office, she finally asked. The Shadow Protocol requires that no single person knows everything, General Chen explained. Even the previous president only knew parts. It was designed this way to prevent discovery. If the aliens had mind-reading technology, they couldn't learn everything from any one person. The president nodded slowly. And you believe these ships can stand against the coalition? We believe our technology is equal to theirs in most areas, Elena said, and superior in some critical ones. But more importantly, they have no idea. We have this capability. The element of surprise is powerful. How soon can these ships deploy? The first wave is already in position, hidden behind our moon, Elena replied. Admiral Okonkwo is waiting for your command. President Garcia took a deep breath. We need to buy time. I'll address the coalition and request a meeting to discuss their terms. Meanwhile, Commander, prepare your forces. 2 hours later, Elena stood in the United Nations General Assembly Hall. The emergency session had been called to discuss the coalition's ultimatum. Representatives from every country on Earth packed the room. On a large screen, Ambassador Zarlo waited impatiently. We have considered your proposal, President Garcia said from the podium. Before giving our answer, we request clarification on several points. Zarlo frowned. There is nothing to clarify. Your options are simple. Accept coalition protection or face resource extraction by force. And yet we have questions, the President insisted. For example, what guarantees do we have that our people will be treated well? What rights will humans have in your coalition? As the President kept Zarlo talking, Elena received a message on her secure device. Shadow Fleet in final position, awaiting go order. Elena stepped forward and whispered to the president, who nodded. "Ambassador," President Garcia said, "one final question. You mentioned our primitive technology and insufficient military capabilities. What led you to this assessment?" Zarlo laughed, a cold sound that echoed through the hall. "We have monitored your planet for decades. Your most advanced ships can barely reach your own moon. Your weapons are basic. Your defenses are laughable." "I see," the president said calmly. "Then perhaps there's something you should know." She turned to Elena. "Commander Vasquez, I believe you have information relevant to this discussion." Elena stepped to the podium. Across the room, hundreds of world leaders watched her. On the screen, Zarlo's eyes narrowed. "Ambassador," Elena said, "the coalition has made a serious error in its assessment of Earth." "That is unlikely," Zarlo replied dismissively. Elena smiled for the first time. Following the Third World War in 2089, the nations of Earth created a unified defense protocol. For decades, we have hidden our true technological capabilities, even from our own citizens. She pressed a button on her device. The large screen split, showing Zarlo on one side and a live feed from space on the other. On the screen, the darkness behind Earth's moon was suddenly filled with light, as dozens of massive warships deactivated their stealth systems. They were black and sleek, clearly built for battle, and each one was as large as the coalition's biggest vessels. The hall erupted in gasps and shouts as people saw ships they never knew existed. "What is this deception?" Zarlo demanded, his confident manner cracking. "Not deception, Ambassador, strategy." Elena's voice was firm. "While the coalition was scanning for threats, our real fleet remained hidden. And now perhaps we should discuss new terms for our relationship." On the screen, Admiral Okonkwo's face appeared next to the fleet. "This is Admiral James Okonkwo of the Earth Defense Force. Our ships are now in position around your fleet. We suggest you reconsider your ultimatum." Zarlo's face showed something humans had not yet seen from the coalition: fear. Silence fell over the United Nations Hall. On the giant screen, Ambassador Zarlo's face showed a mix of shock and anger. Behind him, other coalition aliens moved quickly, speaking in their language. Earth's reveal of the Shadow Fleet had clearly caught them by surprise. "This is unexpected," Zarlo finally said. His voice had lost its commanding tone. President Garcia stepped forward again. "Perhaps the coalition would like to reconsider its ultimatum." "A moment," Zarlo said, then disappeared from the screen. In the hall, world leaders turned to each other in amazement. Many had tears in their eyes. For decades, they had believed Earth was alone and vulnerable in the universe. Now, they saw humanity had teeth. "Commander Vasquez," the president said quietly, "what do you expect them to do next?" "They have three options," Elena replied: retreat, negotiate, or attack. My guess is they'll try to save face by negotiating, but prepare to attack if they see weakness. On her secure device, Elena opened a channel to Admiral Okonkwo. "Status report?" "All ships at battle stations," the admiral replied. His deep voice was calm. "The Poseidon has surfaced in the Atlantic. 5 destroyers have decloaked behind the moon. The Mars fleet is in position. Coalition ships are scanning us but can't get through our quantum shields to see our weapon systems. Hold position but be ready for anything," Elena ordered. After 10 tense minutes, Ambassador Zarlo returned to the screen. His manner had changed completely. Gone was the arrogance. Now he looked careful, measuring each word. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding," he said. "The coalition did not have complete information about Earth's capabilities." President Garcia nodded. "Clearly. We would like to discuss a more appropriate arrangement between our civilizations," Zarlo continued, "one of mutual respect and cooperation." In the background of Zarlo's transmission, Elena noticed movement. Coalition ships were adjusting their positions, spreading out around Earth's orbit. She quickly typed a message to Admiral Okonkwo. "They're repositioning. Possible attack formation." The Admiral's reply came instantly. "Confirmed. Moving to counter." Elena whispered to the president, who nodded slightly. "We are open to discussions, Ambassador," the president said. "But first, we notice your ships are moving into what appears to be an attack position. Please keep your vessels stationary as a sign of good faith." Zarlo's face twitched. A simple defensive precaution. Nothing more. "Then you won't mind returning to your previous positions," the president insisted. Before Zarlo could answer, a new coalition ship appeared from behind Earth's other side. It was massive, twice the size of any ship seen so far and bristling with what were clearly weapon systems. "The Dominator has arrived," a voice said off-screen to Zarlo. "Shields at maximum." Zarlo's face showed surprise. He hadn't meant for that to be heard. Elena immediately sent orders. "All ships, defensive positions. Prepare for possible engagement." On the space view screen, the human ships moved with surprising speed, forming a protective wall between the coalition fleet and Earth. From the oceans, more ships rose, massive vessels that had been hiding under the water. From the far side of Mars, a group of sleek black ships approached rapidly. The United Nations Hall was in an uproar now, as Earth's leaders saw the standoff developing in space. "Your hidden vessel appears quite heavily armed for a peaceful mission, Ambassador," the president said calmly. Zarlo dropped all pretense. "You have surprised us humans, but the coalition has conquered 17 worlds before yours. Your ships may be impressive, but you cannot match our experience." "Perhaps," said a new voice. Admiral Okonkwo appeared on the screen, his dark face serious but confident. "But those other worlds weren't Earth." Zarlo's expression darkened. "This is your last chance to surrender peacefully." Admiral Okonkwo smiled slightly. "I was about to say the same to you." Without warning, the massive coalition ship fired a bright beam of energy toward Earth. Before it could hit, a human destroyer moved into position. Instead of being destroyed, the ship's shields glowed blue, absorbing the blast completely. Gasps filled the UN hall. The coalition weapon had been stopped. "As you can see," Elena said, stepping forward, "we've studied energy, weapons for decades. Your technology is impressive, but not unknown to us." On the screen, more human ships emerged from hiding places around the solar system. Some had been disguised as asteroids. Others had been hiding in Earth's oceans. From behind the sun itself came humanity's largest vessel, the EDF Prometheus, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed even the coalition's Dominator. Admiral Okonkwo's voice was firm. "Ambassador Zarlo, you have made an unprovoked attack against Earth. We are now authorized to respond with full force. However, we would prefer to end this peacefully. Your choice." The coalition ships hesitated. Their sensors were now getting clear readings on the human fleet, and what they saw clearly surprised them. Human ships had weapon systems equal to or greater than their own. And there were hundreds of them, far more than the coalition had brought. Zarlo spoke urgently with someone off-screen. When he turned back, his silver eyes were wide. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our scans showed your technology was primitive. Your largest public space vessel can barely reach your neighboring planet." "A deliberate deception," Elena explained. "After our last global war, Earth united around one idea. When we met alien life, we would be prepared. What you saw was what we wanted you to see. For 60 years, Admiral Okonkwo added, we built our true fleet in secret. We showed the public and watching eyes only what served our security. We studied crashed alien technology. We prepared." Zarlo was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lost all its power. "The coalition requests immediate ceasefire and diplomatic talks." President Garcia nodded. "Agreed. Your ships will remain in their current positions. No more vessels will enter our solar system. We will meet to discuss terms in 24 hours. After Zarlo's screen went dark, cheers erupted in the UN hall. Centuries of human division fell away in that moment. For the first time, Earth had stood together against an outside threat, and won without firing a shot. Elena looked up at the screens showing Earth's fleet, the ships humanity had built in secret, hoping they would never be needed but ensuring they would be ready. "Commander," the president said, "it seems we owe you and everyone involved in the Shadow Fleet a great debt." Elena shook her head. "We only did what humans have always done, Madam President." "And what's that?" "Prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." The grand meeting room aboard the EDF Prometheus was unlike anything the coalition delegates had seen on human vessels before. The walls were sleek black metal with blue lighting that seemed to flow like water. The long table in the center was made from real wood, a sign of Earth's natural wealth. Ambassador Zarlo entered with 5 other coalition representatives. Their silver eyes darted around the room, taking in every detail. Gone was their previous confidence. Now they moved carefully, like people who had discovered they were in the presence of a sleeping predator that had suddenly awakened. Elena Vasquez stood with Admiral Okonkwo, President Garcia, and representatives from Earth's 7 largest nations. This was humanity's first official diplomatic meeting as equals with an alien civilization. "Welcome aboard the Prometheus," Admiral Okonkwo said. His deep voice filled the room. Zarlo nodded stiffly. "We appreciate your hospitality." Everyone took their seats. For a moment there was silence as both sides studied each other. President Garcia spoke first. "Yesterday the coalition demanded Earth's surrender. Today we meet as equals. That is quite a change in one day." "A regrettable misunderstanding," Zarlo said, though no one believed him. "We had incomplete information about Earth's capabilities." "That was by design," Elena said. "We've known about alien observation for decades. Everything we showed the universe was carefully selected." One of the other coalition delegates, a female with paler purple skin, leaned forward. "How did you hide such a fleet? Our scanning technology is the most advanced in known space." Admiral Okonkwo smiled slightly. "Quantum shielding. It doesn't just protect our ships from weapons. It can hide them completely from detection." "Impossible," another alien said. "Such technology would require understanding of physics beyond what you thought we had," Elena finished for him. Yes, that was the point. The meeting continued for hours. The humans explained nothing about how their technology worked, but demonstrated clearly that they understood the coalition's systems. Slowly, the truth became clear to the aliens. They had severely underestimated humanity. "There is something we don't understand," Zarlo finally said. "Why did Earth develop such military capability in secret? Were you expecting an attack?" "We were preparing for any possibility," President Garcia replied. "Humanity's history is filled with conflict. When we united after our last war, we agreed on one principle: hope for peace, prepare for war." "A strange philosophy," Zarlo murmured. "But an effective one," Admiral Okonkwo pointed out. "It prevented what happened to 17 other worlds from happening to us." At this, the coalition delegates looked at each other nervously. "You know about the other worlds," Zarlo said. "It wasn't a question." "We know you conquered them using the exact same approach you tried with us," Elena said. "Friendly contact, technology sharing, then ultimatum and subjugation." The female alien spoke again. "Those worlds had no significant defense capabilities. It was for their own protection." "No." Elena's voice was firm. "It was conquest, plain and simple." Zarlo's face showed a new emotion: shame. "You must understand. The coalition itself is under tremendous pressure." This was unexpected. Elena and the other humans exchanged glances. "What kind of pressure?" President Garcia asked. After a long pause, Zarlo seemed to reach a decision. "There is another force in our galaxy. We call them the Voidborn. They emerged from the galactic core 50 years ago. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They simply take." One of the other aliens tapped a device on his wrist. A hologram appeared above the table showing a massive black ship unlike anything the humans had seen. It seemed to absorb light around it. "The Voidborn have taken 12 coalition worlds so far," Zarlo continued. "We needed resources and fighters. The 17 worlds we brought into the coalition provide both." "You mean slaves," Elena said coldly. Call it what you will, Zarlo replied. We did what was necessary for survival. Admiral Okonkwo leaned forward. So you were planning to use humans as soldiers against these Voidborn? Your species has a remarkable talent for warfare, Zarlo admitted. Even before we saw your hidden fleet, we recognized your potential as fighters. The room was quiet as the humans absorbed this information. Earth had avoided becoming a subject world, but now they learned of an even greater threat lurking in the galaxy. Show us everything you have on these Voidborn, President Garcia finally said. For the next hour, the Coalition shared information about the mysterious enemy. The Voidborn ships were enormous, their technology based on principles the Coalition barely understood. They seemed to consume entire planets, leaving nothing behind. When the presentation ended, the human delegates moved to a private room to discuss what they had learned. Do you believe them? President Garcia asked once they were alone. Elena considered, carefully. Yes, the data matches what we detected from their ships. They're genuinely afraid of these Voidborn. So now we have a choice, Admiral Okonkwo said. Join their coalition as equals to face this threat, or stay independent and risk facing the Voidborn alone later. There's a third option, Elena suggested. We help the coalition, but on our terms. We free the 17 subjugated worlds. We create a true alliance of equals, not an empire. President Garcia nodded slowly. I like that option. The coalition needs us now more than we need them. We can dictate terms. When they returned to the meeting room, the atmosphere had changed. Now it was the humans who led the discussion, proposing a new type of relationship between Earth and the coalition. Here are our terms, President Garcia said firmly. Earth will remain independent. We will help develop defenses against the Voidborn, but the 17 worlds you subjugated must be given their freedom and equal status. Zarlo's face showed surprise. You would help us even after we tried to conquer you? We're not helping you, Elena corrected him. We're helping all intelligent, life against a common threat. But we'll do it as equals, not as conquerors and subjects. The coalition delegates spoke quietly among themselves for several minutes. Finally, Zarlo turned back to the humans. The terms are acceptable, he said. The High Council will not be pleased, but they have few options now. As the meeting ended, Admiral Okonkwo and Elena walked the coalition delegates back to their shuttle. There's something I don't understand, Zarlo said quietly to Elena. Why did humans develop such powerful military technology while hiding it from your own people? On our worlds, such deception would be impossible. Elena looked at him steadily. On Earth, we have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. True strength isn't about showing power, it's about having it when needed. As the alien shuttle departed, Elena looked out the window at Earth below. For centuries, humanity had fought itself, divided by borders and ideologies. Now, united by an outside threat, they had not only protected their world but changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The next chapter of human history would be written among the stars. 6 months had passed since the standoff between Earth and the Coalition. In that time, everything had changed. The planet that once thought itself alone in the universe was now at the center of a transformed galactic alliance. Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of the EDF Prometheus, watching as ships from 14 different worlds practiced battle formations in the Tau Ceti system. Human vessels flew alongside ships from formerly subjugated planets, all training together against the coming threat of the Voidborn. Quite a sight, isn't it? Admiral Okonkwo said, joining her at the window. Elena nodded. 6 months ago, most people on Earth didn't even know alien life existed. Now we're leading a galactic defense force. The coalition had been transformed. No longer an empire ruled by a few species, it was becoming a true alliance where each world had equal voice. Earth had insisted on this change as part of their agreement to help fight the Voidborn. The Halaxians are implementing our shield designs on their cruisers, Okonkwo noted, pointing to a group of blue-hulled ships. And the Teller have adapted our weapon systems remarkably quickly. These were species that, until recently, had been little more than slaves to the original coalition. Now they were allies, learning from humans and sharing their own knowledge in return. How are the negotiations with the remaining coalition worlds going? Elena asked. Okonkwo's face grew serious. Some resistance, as expected. 3 worlds still refuse to accept the new arrangement. They don't like the idea of their former subjects having equal status. They'll come around, Elena said confidently. They need us more than we need them. A young officer approached them. Commander Vasquez, Admiral, the demonstration is about to begin. They moved to a different window where they could see a large empty area of space. A single human destroyer, the EDF Intrepid, moved into position. Coalition military observers are in position, sir, the officer reported. They're eager to see our tactical approach. What followed was a display of battle maneuvers unlike anything the coalition species had ever seen. The human ship moved in unpredictable patterns, using short-range jumps combined with momentum shifts that seemed to defy physics. It deployed decoys and executed attack runs that confused even the most advanced coalition tracking systems. In Nur, the observation room attached to the Prometheus, alien military officials watched with a mixture of awe and concern. Most had never seen such unpredictable combat techniques. Your approach to warfare is unusual, said General Cran, a senior coalition commander. His blue scales shimmered under the lights. Humans evolved on a predator-rich world, Elena explained. Warfare has been constant throughout our history. Unlike your species, we never had the luxury of peace. You make it sound like an advantage, another alien noted. For the coming fight it is, Admiral Okonkwo said. The Voidborn have overwhelmed conventional coalition forces because they use predictable tactics. Humans specialize in being unpredictable. After the demonstration, Elena met with representatives from the formerly subjugated worlds. The atmosphere was different here. These species looked at humans not as threats but as liberators. My people owe Earth a debt we can never repay, said Talara, a representative from Halax. Her luminescent skin glowed softly as she spoke. For 100 years we were little more than workers for the Coalition. Now we have our freedom. We didn't do it just for you, Elena said honestly. Earth recognized that a true alliance of equals would be stronger than an empire built on fear. Nevertheless, Talara replied, you did what no other species has done. You stood up to the Coalition, and won without firing a shot. That gives hope to all of us. Later that day, Elena joined a strategy meeting with military leaders from 20 worlds. The room was filled with beings of different shapes, sizes, and colors. Unity born from diversity, brought together by a common threat. Dr. Marcus Chen presented the latest intelligence on Voidborn movements. They've taken another system near the Galactic core, he said, pointing to a holographic map. At their current rate of expansion, they'll reach Coalition space within 8 months. Are our defenses ready? Asked a commander from Teller. Getting there, Admiral Okonkwo replied. The combined fleet is at 60% of planned strength. The new shield technology has been implemented across 80% of our vessels. Weapons upgrades are proceeding on schedule. Elena studied the faces around the table. 6 months ago, most of these species had been enemies or strangers. Now they work together, learning from each other, preparing for a threat that none could face alone. A coalition scientist named Viridian raised a hand. His species had 6 fingers and eyes that could see in spectrums humans couldn't imagine. We've been studying human military history, he said. Your species has concepts we never developed. Guerrilla warfare, asymmetric response, psychological operations. These might be effective against the Voidborn. That's what we're counting on, Elena replied. The Voidborn have only faced conventional resistance so far. They've never encountered human ingenuity. After the meeting, Elena returned to her quarters. On her desk was a communication device linking her to Earth. President Garcia appeared on the screen when she activated it. Commander, how goes the preparation? The president asked. Better than expected, Elena replied. The new alliance is working. Former enemies are becoming true partners. And the Voidborn threat? Real and getting closer. But we'll be ready. Elena paused. The Coalition worlds are particularly impressed by our approach to warfare. They Keep asking how humans develop such unique tactics. The president smiled slightly. What do you tell them? The truth. That on Earth we spent thousands of years fighting each other. We learned the hard way that the strongest weapon isn't technology, it's adaptability and unpredictability. Later that night, Elena stood alone on the observation deck, watching as the joint fleet practiced maneuvers. Ships that 6 months ago might have fired on each other now flew in perfect formation, protecting each other's flanks. Ambassador Zarlo joined her, his manner now respectful where once it had been condescending. Your species continues to surprise us, he said quietly. The coalition ruled through power and fear for centuries. In 6 months, humans have transformed it through cooperation and shared purpose. That's the difference between conquest and leadership, Elena replied. True strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. In the darkness of space beyond the training fleet, Elena knew the Voidborn were coming, an enemy that had conquered 1,000 worlds and never tasted defeat. But they had never faced humans before, and that would make all the difference.